Hello and welcome to the Alchemist Inkwell.
This is your spiritual podcast for grounded people. I missed saying that.
Oh, I will say, guys, today's gonna be just a tiny bit of a shorter episode because we are still reeling
Mm,
from last week, which was Sacred Spaces, which is what we're gonna talk about today. But if
yeah,
you're like, oh, that was so fast, we know, but
we
it's just a lot and we're
yeah.
working on it.
We are we are all having the eclipse recovery situation this week. And if you are in that feeling, use it. Do not bypass this week and be like, "Oh, I still need to be productive and blah blah blah." Yes, I know Mercury and Mars were square and that makes you feel like you got to get stuff done. You probably already did. Get rid of your shouldas and just sit on the couch and process.
Yeah, super fuck productivity day over here. Unfortunately, I have such a busy week. I'm like, no, I need space. But I don't have it, but that's okay.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. But yeah, it's a lot of energy. Eclipse season was real much.
Real much.
We had eclipse season and we had a timeline situation happen kind of in the middle of eclipse season. So altogether, the like happy little package of it felt like a portal. And so if
Mhm.
after now eclipse season, you're a little bit like, I don't really know what to do with myself at this moment. I don't really know what I want. I don't really know where I'm going, that kind of thing. It is a time to manifest. It is a time to do some brain dumping work, figure that out. But also like, yeah, man,
Mhm.
we get it. We get it. It was a lot to go through, and it felt a little bit like a fever dream the entire time.
Mhm. Agreed. Literally,
Mhm.
you just quoted me all weekend long talking to Dan of like, I don't know what my goals are anymore. Oh no.
No, I feel the same. I'm like, okay, I know I'm doing this thing, but I've lost the why. Like,
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know what's the next. Oh, like at one point I was like, I'm happy with what I'm doing. I want to acknowledge this moment because you want to acknowledge when you're happy with how things are going and be content sometimes. But I was like, I know this isn't like the stopping point. What am I supposed to do next? So I've been literally saying to my guy, it's like, you tell me, I will keep my
Mhm.
eyes open, but I need some clarity. And I've been getting it. Like the eclipse really released some pressure where things are coming through a little bit more. They're still confusing. So if you're still confused, don't worry, so are we. Um, but it's like, okay, stuff is coming in. I am journaling. I am getting back into like daily mental health
Mhm.
routines and things
Yeah,
just because like I miss my personal development kind of
I do
stuff
too.
in the first place, but also
Mhm.
I think we should. I think it's going to be a pretty interesting next 2 to 3 years while this eclipse cycle is going on the way it's going on, and with other astrology and with what you and I have talked about just intuitively. I
Mhm.
think mental health should be as much of a daily routine as brushing your teeth.
I deeply agree and could not. Honestly, next week's episode, I think, is going to be our mental health and spirituality episode because we need
Yeah,
to go in on this.
we need to get deep.
Um, because it's time we do a refresher on that. Obviously, we've talked about it on here before. However, we have both intuited very strongly like it's going to become a really significant problem, especially in the terms of like spiritual psychosis and other mental health issues in the next year. It's going to become kind of an issue. So, balancing your spirituality and your mental health is so important right now. And however you maintain that is really good. Do it. Like you need mental health support, even if you have spirituality, if not more so, to be totally
Mhm.
honest. And that doesn't just apply to our type of spirituality. I want to be really clear about that. Like I'm also talking spiritual psychosis for the evangelical Christians, the any other religious radicalists. It's
Mhm.
the same concept. So don't just think like it's something that's unique to just this type of spirituality. It's not. And you
Mhm.
probably see it more often in other types of spirituality than this type, to be totally honest. So yeah, it's a big time for that and like leaning in and getting back connected. It's also a really big time. I really encourage you if there's any way in the next couple months you join a class or a mentorship or a program that teaches you something that you're excited to learn, whether that's in the spiritual space or not. Like, I'm not just trying to be
Mhm.
like, please join our classes. Like, that's not what I mean. Like, if you're like, I would love to have a class where I go make pottery once a week, like, fantastic. We
Yeah.
love that for you. But having a controlled, dedicated time to doing something that you is learning
Mhm.
is going to be really important going
Yeah.
forward. It really, really is.
Yeah, the mind needs attention right now.
Mhm.
Whether it's a hobby or, a group support or, the therapist you go to every 2 weeks, just so you have someone to tell all these things that you wouldn't tell other someone's. Um,
Mhm.
for me, it's all of
Absolutely.
those. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, it really is. That was something that was massively highlighted, I think, throughout this eclipse season. This is what
Mhm.
keeps coming up for me, and I know this is not the same for you, so I'm not trying to in any way say that, but I have not, for the last basically week and a half, 2 weeks, plant medicine has just come up over and over and over in so many iterations. And I was like, for a while, I'm like, is this for me personally? And the answer is yes, that is for me personally, but it's also for society.
Yeah.
I guess that's another big area of focus that we're moving into is specifically plant-based medicine. And that goes for like using reishi mushrooms just to help you sleep. And that also goes for like using psychedelics to cure your depression, like and everything in
Mhm.
between. It is a huge, I think we're honestly what I'm going to call like a plant awakening part of the cycle because it really feels like it's prominent right now.
Oh, and trust me, I actually am on the same vein as you on
Yeah.
multiple levels with this because I planted arnica at the beginning of the
Ah,
summer.
you did.
I did because I knew I was going to need scar care and bruise care because I've got my top surgery coming up at the end of this month. So, whoop, whoop. Thank you.
I'm so excited.
But yeah, like I have been saying like we need aloe in the house. We need plant allies around. Because all I can ever see when I think about like what should be in my house is grandma when I touched the toaster as a kid, like I was one of those kids, but she slapped some aloe on my hand and everything was fine. And just knowing that there is a place for modern medicine, but you can
Yeah.
also use like I use a mushroom based, I think it's reishi mushrooms and that kind of stuff
Yeah.
to help me sleep at night, to help me
Yeah.
calm. One of the things that I work with a nutritionist every 2 weeks to use plant-based food as
Mhm.
my daily medicine. I don't know if a lot of people know this. I can't use most medications because of my
That's mostly what I was meaning of like, I don't want to be like, hey, Krista, psychedelics for depression healing, because I know that's
no,
not
I
the
need
vein.
them.
But like,
No,
but
I'm
yeah, no.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, alternatives that can give you, you know, issues that aren't going to give you the same side effects as things that would, for in my case, kill me. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'll use the arnica. That sounds
Yeah.
great.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, really, it is. The plants are waking up, and I think we're going to have
Mhm.
more potent effects from our plants than
Mhm.
we've had before, to be totally honest.
Yeah.
And plants have always been valuable, but I think when the world was exercised and the vibration of the world really took a significant dip,
Mhm.
which is not the lowest it's ever been, but it's a significant dip that happened. Now we're kind of coming back up from that. I really think we lost some of the potency in our plant medicines as well. I think we
Mhm.
lost a lot of that, and I think now it's coming back in on like an energetic level as well as like a physical level.
Yeah. I could not agree with you more. There's even more medical papers coming out about, they call it the placebo and the nocebo effect, but really it's like what you work with in your energy is going to give
Mhm.
you an effect. And plants really help with that. They do have properties that have actual effects that are tested and known, but then also working with them feels safer, feels
Mhm.
better. You might feel more inclined. You might have a better relationship with plants.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all on board with that. I also think, and I swear we will talk about sacred spaces. I think this will be a decent segue. Being careful with your deity work over the next couple of
Oh
years is
yeah.
also really important. Remembering that you have an equal place at the table, if not a higher one, as far as actionability goes in your life. Trust the energies you work with and vet them the way you would friends in an ideal world.
I could not agree more. I also just want to say on the deity workspace, like, um, I could do a whole 45-minute to 2 hour talk on
Yeah.
this. Honestly, deity work is where I really, what I'm going to say, I got my start in my own spiritual process. I'm really passionate about deity work. I do really love it. I think it's very, very valuable. However, they are flawed, period.
Hmm.
Full stop. They are flawed. Also, with our vibration going up and our timeline shifts that have occurred, that also means that stuff is different for them too on the other side. They're also trying to figure out what's going on with our timelines. They're also trying to do whatever their individual goals are too. So that's the other part of like, yeah, also do deity work and then understand that they are also divided. Their attention's divided. Things are going on. Vet who you want to work with. Be really intentional. Don't just go off of their myth, but go off of how you feel their presence. Those types of things. Because it's a lot right now with that. It's a lot. And
Hmm.
certain things I think are weird on the other side in other realms right now.
Yeah, I think our world's not the only one going through changes.
No,
Yeah.
definitely fucking not.
Yeah.
What I'm channeling through, I'm like, everybody's real busy.
Hmm.
What's happening? So,
Totally.
very interesting, but it is important to think about.
Hmm.
Good segue. And on that note, let's talk about sacred spaces. This was Sacred Spaces 2.
The second one.
Sacred, Sacred Spaces 2. Sacred again. um, I will say, before we even get into our biggest takeaways, which I think is a great place for us to start, I do want to say the number one takeaway we both have is that we are never fucking ever doing an event between eclipses ever again.
No. And mini soapbox moment. Okay. So
Uh-huh.
we tried not to. For all of you out there who are like, KristaLyn, Emily, you guys are magic and astrologers and all this stuff. You should know better. You always
For
talk
sure.
about not doing magic and whatever during an eclipse. Sometimes life happens and you don't get to choose the dates. Like when you have to work with a mundane world calendar for a venue. And so that's what happened. This, everybody else got in earlier, I guess, or somehow for the dates that we wanted to do that were better elections astrologically and energetically. And so we were left with this date. And we were like, you know what? As you have to do in life, this must be the one that's important. This must be the one that we need. And it will give us the event that we need and we will learn. And, I figured best case scenario, lots of people up level because we're doing it during an eclipse. Where better to be during an eclipse than a spiritual event where everybody can hold space for each other and kind of, you know, handle that energy collectively and together. And I think it really did do that in some ways.
Hmm. I
But
think it did.
with free choice, I'm not doing that again. It was a lot of overwhelm just because so much was happening.
Yeah, I will say it was very interesting to witness since we both can see energy. So we're standing on the stage, and from the welcome on the first day to like the close on the first day, it was like watching people like little wisps of stuff was just like wisping off of them, and they were just shedding and
Mhm.
shedding and shedding. And we were like, oh, that's what's going on with the like it feels weird up in here. Everyone's just like, whew. And it was so much vulnerability, and that's beautiful and that's amazing. I will say
Mhm.
for the second day though, I put this big energetic boulder in the middle of the room because I was like, it's going to be a magnet to all the stuff that everyone's shedding off. Because the second day is a lot even more vulnerable
Mhm.
than the first day, and we don't want anyone else to absorb anyone else's stuff because everyone's just like a wide open thing right now. So it was just like a magnet to like pull all that stuff in, and it definitely helped, which was really nice. But like it was that activated that I had to put in like an energetic device to manage the space.
Mhm.
That's not normal. Not typical, nor was that what we were going for. It was really profound, though. People did years of growth in that weekend, truly.
Honestly, it was such a great energy with the people there. Like I got up to give my talk. I wasn't nervous for a second. I was just excited. And everybody in the audience was just so great to be with in that moment. So like
Mhm,
the audience was super receptive. The people were super wonderful. Again, people made really good connections. I think our content was even more powerful than it was the first time. And I'm really
mhm,
appreciative of that. I can't wait to see what we're inspired with the next time and how we all
mhm.
grow. Um, I think the add-ons were awesome. I loved the add-ons. Mystery Spirit Theater was great on so many levels. Going to literally a castle that was moved over from England in the 1600s, stone by stone, and having a onesie slumber party to roast a ghost hunt show. I don't think you could check any more boxes off of my list with that. Uh,
Just like that is truly. I don't think anyone else has ever done that ever. I think
no.
the poor ghosts in that castle were like, "What are they doing?"
Yeah. Well, and then I got to teach people how to make folk magic talismans in a coffee shop. And I go to
Mhm,
that coffee shop all the time, and now they know me like for sure, for sure. It's really great. But
mhm.
everybody there was laughing and enjoying each other. And like that's what magic is. That's
Yeah,
what, if you want to call it a coven or a group or a sacred circle or whatever, that's what
yeah,
it is. It's everybody doing this thing with intention, having fun with it, and creating
mhm,
something that is going to enhance the energy of their life. I
yeah.
I was blown away by that. And all of the other events, the catching reeds was so cool, following the black dog
Thanks.
and just all the things that happened. We had it, so kudos to Em and Rebecca for setting this up. First of all, not only did you guys go through what it's like to read history energetically, what it's like to interact with a ghost in a historical space energetically, but there was a historian there. And he was like
Yeah.
really modest, being like, I'm not a historian, but he knew everything. And he was able to validate what people got with history or correct us, which we had, you have to be open to in an intuitive space. And so it was just this holistic, responsible, amazing, everything sacred spaces stands for event.
Yeah, it was really cool to have Tom there. Shout out Tom. I don't know if Tom listens or not, but Tom's great. We appreciate
Mhm.
you, Tom. Because he was a fabulous historian for that. That was so cool. He was such an expert. He even could confirm, like, someone channeled in a little boy who had fallen out of a tree, and like a couple people got that same thing. They're like, "Yeah, I also saw that little boy, whatever." And he was like, "Yeah, that's a canon event. Like that happened here. Like
Mhm.
that was this tree. You're correct. It was the," and everyone was just like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah, he
It's like,
fell out of
yeah,
the
like
tree and passed away.
yeah,
Yeah.
he fell out of a tree and passed away. And people picked up on that. Some people picked up on it using channeled history, and some people picked up on it by talking to his ghost because they both were valid. And it was cool to like have that dynamic going on. It was a really fun add-on. All the add-ons were great. People in the paranormal investigation got such powerful things and evidence on
Mhm.
the like different systems they were using. The Phasma box said somebody's name. Like it was a whole, it was cool. We did a triple read in the rain. And it actually was cooler that we did it in the rain.
Uh-huh.
Um, loved doing the triple read. Would loved doing that so much. It was so fun because we all three got to just bounce off each other, and we all channel energy just slightly differently than each other, and to have that like flow there was just
Mhm.
really cool. Um, and I think everyone got a lot out of that. It was really cool. I loved the add-ons. I want to shout out. I really loved that we had the opportunity to highlight MMIW, which is the Missing Murdered and
Mhm.
Indigenous Women. We had a wonderful person also named Emily create a video specifically for us talking about MMIW because that was the organization that we chose to support this time in order to honor the first peoples whose land we were on. And so we donated to that. We got to highlight that, which was just incredible. And we had a fabulous therapist come in and do a wonderful presentation on mental health to kick off the entire event. And how to balance mental health and spirituality, and how they're not, their individual practices, but they can still hold each other's hands. And she went through different types of therapy that you could go into. And honestly, her presentation was so cool, and the resources she provided were really neat. And I think a lot of people will know more what they're looking for in a therapist because of that presentation. And I
Yeah.
think that was just also, it was just such a special thing. And not to mention, of course, we have to shout out Annette, who just
I
came on
know.
in and everyone got to swamp their feelings out. And she's just a magical goddess of amazingness.
Mhm.
I just adore her so much. And she rounded us out really, really well and did like a really cool, just vibrant swamping of emotion and dancing. And it was just such a cool, that was so cool.
Mhm. I loved every minute of, again, and the vendors that we had were amazing. The speed
Yeah.
readers did such a good
Mhm.
job. It
Yeah. Speed readers. We had such
the
good feedback
workshop.
about the speed readers. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Thank you, speed readers. I
I
had
wanted to
such a
sit
good
down at every
time.
table because they were unique, they were specific, they were amazing. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we had everything from Amara building shields
Yeah.
to different lithomancy style pulls from like Marlene. And then we had Rebecca being like, your soul type is this. And like it was just such a cool, oh, it was such a cool vibe. And then like Hogwarts reads and
Yeah.
different things. Oh, it was just so
Mhm.
neat. That part of it was really cool. I will say, I also just I do want to say that like in general the experience, despite the challenges that it did have, I think the biggest thing that I appreciate about this is the way the community shows up for each other, which is why we call it a gathering in the first place. And like that final day on Sunday, we had like a party basically to close it out. We set up a picture space, whatever, and we set up tables. If you wanted to do readings for each other, you could, just like energetic exchange only. And so many people brought out their stuff to just do readings for everyone for free, just to contribute and be like, it was one of the most inspiring things to me, I think, about the whole weekend, because there
Mhm.
were so many people just so hyped to connect with other people and just do a reading. And it wasn't just like, oh, I want a reading for free. It was just like, it was just so beautifully exchanged and people were so reciprocal, and it was just a wonderful energy. We even had a little lending library there with like spirit tools that um were, open to be exchanged. If you have a tool that you no longer use or never vibed with you could exchange it for something else, or like you could go over there and any point in time and grab something different. And I grabbed a necklace from the table. It was beautiful. It called my name. I was like, this is so sweet. I left a bunch of stuff there that was, I surprised everybody. Some of the stuff I left, or just left on the table, it was for me. So you got
Some of it
some
was for
stuff. Some
me.
was
Yeah.
for Krista. um so some of the stuff that you guys picked up was from us. And it was just a magical community. The community was amazing. I mean, someone was doing Oreo cookie reads, and it was the
I
coolest
know.
thing, and just free.
Yeah.
Just during the energetic exchange time, not during the speed reads, but it was so magical. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I loved that. And I know like one of our Incense Outsense and Other Nonsense students came up and said that they did their first like off the cuff read and it went well and it was accurate and all this stuff. And it's like, of course it did, because you're magical and you're amazing. But I'm
uh-huh.
so glad you have a space where you got to do that comfortably and be celebrated for it. And just that's what it's for. That's what this whole thing is
Mhm.
for. And I think the people that have been there these past few times have helped us get even clearer on this vision that came to us through just an inspiration and we just went with it. But now we're getting clear on what it's doing, what it's meant to do, and we're going to be able to build it even more sturdier. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, moving
And
forward.
and I just want to say, like, personally, my favorite part is to just get to meet everybody who comes, and like people I've done readings for before, or maybe you just listen to the podcast, or only know me from following somebody else on social media and seeing a video I
Yeah,
did with them, or whatever. It's such a cool thing to be like out of my rectangle. You know what I mean? Like, we
yeah,
sit here and us through these rectangles, whether they're vertical rectangle, horizontal rectangle, you get there. And it's
yeah,
so nice to be like out of that and see people and have them just come up and know that you affected their lives in some way, that so now that they're here and they can find community, like that heals my inner child, I think, probably more than anything ever has.
yeah.
And I thank everybody for that. I thank all of you as listeners for being listeners, and
Mhm.
whether you were there or not, like just thank you, but also just for all the people who did come to Sacred Spaces. Like, you gave me a very significant gift. I know I think Krista probably feels the same way. Um, and that's thank you. Just
Yeah,
thank you to be able to show and give this community that I so desperately needed when I was developing my spiritual stuff, which was really when I was a teenager, to be totally
mhm,
honest, and to
yeah,
see that everyone can now have that because we made it, like, because we made this space for that to exist. And then you guys showed up. Like, that's amazing. Like, thank you for that,
mhm,
because that's a big deal. It's just
yeah.
a big deal.
Sacred spaces and the people that show up there are a direct answer to so many of the things I've worked through in therapy.
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, thank you, Krista, and thank you, Rebecca. You guys are
Yes.
awesome.
Thank you, Emily and Rebecca, and to everybody who contributed, all the speakers and hosts of our workshops and everything.
Yeah. Also, I did not break the Phasma box this time. Just gonna
No,
throw that out there
no.
because I
And
very
it's good.
intentionally didn't.
I haven't looked at the notes and the recordings from it yet, but it seemed like our wonderful person who was running it was quite busy. So
Yeah,
I'm very interested to see how that comes through.
I know. I'm really excited for that too. By the way, if you're like, oh man, I wish it was there, we do still have the digital package available. We will be sending that out probably early next week. We'll get that going to you guys. Basically, we professionally recorded all of the event, and we'll have the Phasma box recordings, and you can watch this back, and you won't have been there, of course, but you'll get all of the keynote speeches in the Phasma box. You'll also get links to all of the vendors, as well as links to all of our speed readers. If they're, some type of reading that you want to get, you can then reach out to them for that. So if you're interested in that, that's still on the Sacred Spaces Gathering website if you want to get some digital tickets there. Also, we're just going to announce this super fun, exciting thing to finish it out. If you guys have not already seen, we are going to Thailand.
Yes, with Jupiter and Cancer and a lot of other astrological goodness. I'm excited. This is
I also
not an
just
eclipse season event.
it is not. It is next October, and I cannot vouch for the group that's going enough.
Oh
The
my
group
gosh.
that has already signed up, just in pre-sales, because our Patreons and Sacred Spaces got the pre-sale option. Which,
Yeah.
by the way, if you want to join either of our Patreons, you get this episode early, then all of our episodes early. You get fun bonuses. You also get to know about our trips early too, which is the super
Mhm.
fun part. But with just our pre-sales, basically, we got the coolest group of people together. And anyone else who joins, I promise you're going to have an amazing freaking time.
Yeah. Yeah.
People that are going are so amazing.
I'm feeling the healing energy of this trip already, and I'm so there.
And we get to go hang out with rescue elephants,
I
guys,
know.
and take rafts into sacred caves and
And bike
bathe
in
in
ruins.
waterfalls.
Yeah.
Right? And bike through ruins, and we get to roast our own coffee with our own like intentions and drink it. It's gonna be really cool. Anyway, if you want to check that out, it's on either of our link trees, or you can just Google Trova Trip with Emily and KristaLyn. It'll
Oh,
pop up. There's
that's what I
probably
do to
a
find the
link
link.
below too, but yeah, you know. Uh, anyway, we're so happy to be back. Again, we know this is a shorter episode. We promise next week we're gonna talk about mental health.
Yay. And that'll be a nice, fun episode.
Um,
I recommend coming back for that one.
that'll be an evergreen one that you might want to listen to more
Mhm.
than one time.
Yeah.
I guarantee that. But thank you guys for being here. We appreciate you so much, and we hope that you rest and you take all of this energy and you what? Go make
Go
some
make some magic,
magic.
even if you count backwards.
Oh, oh yeah. You're right. Whoops.
I
Wrong
counted 3, 2, 1,
countdown.
you counted 1, 2, 3. We both got there, and that's what matters. You will always end up where you belong, you guys.